Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 2. Here we go. We're going to speak to Mrs. Palumbo. She's a teacher from the Chicagoland area. I hope you guys enjoy. We're going to speak about topics, private school versus public school. So it's Friday night. Hope you guys enjoy. Sit back, get some popcorn. Tell us what you think. You know what to do at the end of the show. And welcome back. I want to take a quick second just to let everybody know that the teachers, the counselors that are coming up ahead, the social workers that have been on the show, I'm truly grateful of them signing up to be in this podcast. It takes a lot of courage, and you guys have my full respect, and I hope that more teachers and more counselors and more social workers are willing to sign up in this podcast so we can help the youth. Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, your man Art. All right, welcome back, everybody, to It's Your World podcast. Your man Art here introducing. I'm going to call her my teacher. You want to introduce yourself, Diana?
Yeah, my name is Diana Palumbo. I have 2 beautiful girls, 2.5 and 5.5, and I have been teaching high school English for 14 years now.
14 years, holy smokies. What kind of school is it? Like a public school, private school?
I teach at a public school in the suburbs here in our community.
Okay, great.
And we have a pretty big student population.
Okay, what kind of students do you have?
We have a lot of really nice kids.
Holy shit.
Nice kids.
That's good to hear.
Nice kids, stereotypical suburban kids.
Okay.
And we have a very small group of kids who are rowdy. But overall, we have a pretty good group.
Wow, okay. So my question to you is this. On this episode, we're first going to introduce Diana to just get a feel of how the teachers view the students, view the parents, view their own environment that us parents don't know nothing about. We can only assume, but I want to put some teachers in this couch to let us understand their point of view and get a better perspective of how their environment, their surroundings and their environment are, so to speak. So that's what we're going to talk about today. On this next episode, we're going to speak about topics that kind of matter, affect us. But she says she works at a good school, so it might not affect her, but this is where I come in. I want to say that some of the best schools is where they have the most issues at. And I need her expertise, her point of view, to see if she can identify those subjects, not like in our school that are not so good. So that's my next question, Diana. Do you think when you are in the hallways or teachers, do you guys ever comment about how to pinpoint, like for instance, bullying? That's very, very important at this moment in time. A kid that's potentially be aggressive at a certain point in time. You don't have, sadly to say, that there's little kids shooting their teachers, and that is a wow factor. What do you think about that subject that happened not so long ago about the student that, what was it, like first, 7th grade?
Something
grade?
very, very young. Yeah.
Very young age, right?
It's really sad. Sometimes I have to scrap my lessons and address it because we can't just go on with our day without stopping and pausing to discuss what's going on in the nation. And a lot of times the conversations aren't happening at home, and the kids just need to air out whatever their feelings are. Overall, it's melancholy. It's super depressing to know that even if it's not in our state, or when tragedies do happen in our state, it can happen the next day.
Anywhere, right?
Anywhere.
Yeah, and do you transpire that mostly to your students, to your fellow teachers, or do you even get the parents involved in that subjects? Because I think they're very important subjects.
Not necessarily. It's on a case-by-case basis. I like to keep an eye out and listen for language. We are required to be in our hallways and be visible. So keeping an eye out on the kids who do have lockers in my hallway and keeping an eye on them, because they're usually there all 4 years. Okay. So I get to know who's out there.
Yeah.
Occasionally I come outside and I'm like, hey, just don't forget your mom is listening, or don't forget that I can hear your entire conversation. Gotcha. So just kind of keeping them aware that I am listening.
In all those years you've been in a teacher, have you ever pinpointed any situation that you want to discuss or share with us that, for instance, this kid had a gun, or potentially would have a gun, or had drugs, or potentially be harmful to another student? Have you ever had any occasions like that? Or circumstances?
Fortunately, we haven't. We have experienced lockdowns that were because of issues in the neighborhood.
Wow.
So I do feel since I started teaching, our policies are improving, our procedures are improving, kids are more aware. My own daughter in kindergarten is learning how to hide from an
How to hide.
intruder.
That's sad. Just, yeah.
Their active drills are happening from K through 12th grade. And again, it goes back to fear.
So you guys have drills?
Oh, we do. Absolutely.
Do you guys have a like school lockdown? Like say the kids come in at a certain time, then they lock the doors, or no?
Yes. So I don't know if it's a federal mandate, but at least in our district, we have put into place that the doors do need to be locked at all times.
Okay, that's good news.
Not just the outside doors, but our classroom doors.
Oh, really?
To eliminate that step. So we hear the lockdown, drill or otherwise, we don't have to worry about the door being locked, already locked. So my focus can be on my students and what we're going to do.
Oh, wow, that's good. Do you think all the schools have that?
I don't think so. I think that it's getting better. I think it's changing.
You think we should do that ASAP?
Even in my first few years of teaching, we never had to learn these drills. They were very different than they are now. And yes, absolutely, everybody should be practicing how to survive is the real word.
Sadly enough, how to survive. That's one of the topics we're going to touch a little bit deeper into next few episodes. Yeah, we do have a problem with that. Like I was telling my other friend, the teacher Foster, that why is it that police departments, courthouses, even hospitals, city hall, they all have cameras, they all have security, they all have weapons, and we're all freaking adults. Yet in our schools, we don't even have 2 security guards. We have to how can I say, super express ourselves, like give us these drills, give us these lockdown methods and stuff, and we can't even protect our own fucking kids. So that's a big issue that we're gonna discuss later with the hierarchies, whoever the hell that is gonna be. But I think that should be a mandatory, sadly enough, for schools to keep them safe. What do you think about that?
Absolutely, and I've expressed many times to different people in our community that I sometimes don't feel safe. Wow. And our students don't feel safe. And it's not our school in particular, it's our society.
In general, yes, correct. If there was something that you would want to tell your schools to change, what would that be? Like a system, like something that you strongly feel that it's got to change. I know you have a good school, you're telling us, but you are not oblivious to the surroundings, like Chicago's public schools and, some of our schools nearby. What would be something that you would tell off record to whoever's in charge that things have to change? What would be one of the things you would ask them?
Well, absolutely. And I think it's naive to say that it won't happen here or won't happen in my community, in my school. I think that there should be more building of relationships. I think the more you know your students, the more administration knows their students, the less likely there is to have tragic accidents like that.
What would you tell the parents?
I wouldn't even call them accidents. I would call them tragedies.
Tragedies, absolutely.
I wouldn't call them accidents.
Same question, what would you tell the parents? Something that you wish you could tell them. What would be a question you would tell, or a comment that you would tell the kids' parents? Not necessarily to your kids' parents, but to all parents. What would be something that you want to let them know that technicality does not allow you to? What would be something you would want to share with them?
I would ask them to be more involved.
With who?
With everyone. I feel like the involvement of parents in both the school community, academic and extracurricular, isn't always all there. Okay. Or those people who are involved are the same parents who are always volunteering. If there was more involvement, then I feel like we would be able to.
How do you think that? Do you have any idea how would we accomplish that?
There are so many different ways that you could, but I can't force a parent to come out of their house.
Give me one.
Cut those hours back from work.
Okay.
Bring it in.
You heard it. You heard it from the teacher. Cut at least an hour a week. Get involved. Speak to the teachers. Speak to your kids. Get involved. And that's something that me as a parent, I want to say I'm a grade A parent, but, you judge me. But yeah, definitely getting involved is a lot. It's very important these days, especially these days, because these kids are getting out of hand. Like we was calling the hood, getting out of pocket. They're being senseless, fearless, uh, and any word that you can think with the less that we once had. So yeah, what's another thing that you want to share with us here at the It's Your World podcast that is very important in the teacher's point of view, um, to make teachers be better? What would you think? Give us. This is your platform. This is your turn. Your time to shine, to speak your mind, because nobody's gonna judge here, and if they do, let me handle it.
I feel like the most success out of my classroom comes from parents who teach their kids to be self-advocates.
Okay, you're
There's a
talking to an
lot
ignorant
of
person here now.
there's a
What
lot
does that
of
mean?
there's a lot of complaints. Hey, I didn't get the grade I wanted. Hey, this is not the outcome that I wanted. But the complaint goes back to the parent, not directly to the teacher.
Okay, repeat that once
So the
again.
success comes from parents teaching their kids how to speak up for themselves and how to handle and problem solve for themselves. Any kids who are still dependent 100%, and I'm not saying do not facilitate, do not help your kid, but teach them to start to wean off of your support.
Okay, so you're telling me that the parents are kind of like grabbing the kid by the hand and showing them the whole way?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And I find more success in the students who are already coming in with those problem solving skills.
Would it be fair to say that that's totally the opposite from your school to our schools? Because I want to think, or I might be totally wrong, that these parents don't take the kid by the hand. They just let them learn as they go. But your side of the fence, they're carrying them all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a very interesting question. So I guess it affects both ways, but there's also a benefit on either side of the aisle. For instance, I would want to say you're totally correct, because I was one of those kids that was not taken by the hand. So I had to learn my way.
Mm-hmm.
You could call it streetwise. You could call it, mature a lot faster. So what do you think the problem is when the parents carry your kids through the proper way? What do you think? What's the big issue with that?
Well, there has to be a balance, right? And I still call myself a new parent because I'm learning from the bottom up. And now with a school age child, it's different. All the things that I thought I was going to do or say are different in practice versus in theory. I think that the balance comes from, is your child able to survive in our society?
Good point.
And those building blocks happen at a very young age.
That is absolutely correct.
I can tell when my kid is going to have a tantrum and when it's my fault. Sometimes it is my fault.
In other words, they're spoiled brats sometimes if you carry them through the way.
Yes,
Gotcha.
if I don't let them learn how to self-regulate, learn how to control their emotions, then that's on me.
Okay, so let me ask you this next question. What do you think is better, a private school or a public school?
I'm a huge advocate for public school because that's the sector that I've been in. I can't speak for the private sector because I've never been in it. Okay. However, I do feel like there are a lot of misconceptions about the public school. Now, I know in politics, they're trying to get closer to the private sector.
Correct.
And I haven't done enough research to sway one way or the other, but I know that what I have read doesn't seem like the autonomy is left to the teachers. It's taking the control away.
Doesn't seem reality. In other words, the reality is this: the real world is in the streets. The real world is out there, not in a private classroom or a private school. That's just my point of view, but I am totally with you. But I have other people I want to bring to the show that have been brought up in private schools. They know who they are, and their kids are also in private schools. I have lots of friends. My kid is not one of those, and I am way on your side because even though I can't afford a private school for my child, I choose, with her mother's blessing as well, to have her in a public school so she can meet and greet every single type of way that's going to come after her in the near future. If I want to believe my child only sees a certain structural way, and then she steps her foot in the real world, she's going to get eaten alive. Because I am from the streets. I was from the streets. I know when someone can smile at you and take all your shit. So that's kind of like similarities in street versus education. But you're totally right. I totally agree with you. I think a public school teaches a young person, a young individual, to be more alert, not be taken by the hand, be more observant, be more, I call it gangster. You know? What do you think about that? Is it kind of like the same? It balances out?
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like especially students who are on the path, and everyone has the ability to go to a higher education.
Mhm.
You're going to be in university, community college, no matter what part with the world. There are people who come from all different walks of life. And I think that the public school sets you up for being able to interact and engage with anyone.
Correct.
So I agree.
Agree with that. Wow, that's a long conversation. That's a bigger subject than what we
Mhm.
think about. But please understand us. This is where we come from. This is what we are. This is what we lived. So it's totally different from people that have not lived our certain atmosphere. But we respect yours, respect ours. But we're gonna keep it coming. We're gonna take a short break and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. That's what's up, man. That's what's up.